Hey guys, what's happening? I thought it'd be kind of cool to, while we're talking about my mining rig, I'll just go ahead and go through, do just a quick little point by point by point and talk about just real quick, just an overview of some of the things that are in here. So first thing, we'll start with the milk crate. This milk crate, this beautiful box. The reason we have it is because it's what we had. I wanted to put everything into a some kind of container, open air, of course. It's a mining rig. I didn't really want to build a wooden one, although that was my original plan. PVC builds always feel flimsy to me. I obviously didn't want to do it out of metal, and I really didn't want to build one of those nice aluminum fabricated ones or do a shelf build because it was always intended just to be the one, so the shelf doesn't really make sense. So when I made this at my buddy's house, we just so happened to have this wonderful milk crate. Actually used to hold cacti. It's a cactus container, and boom, there it was. Same goes for the broomstick that's supporting the graphics cards. We just found an old broomstick sitting out in the barn, and so we said, you know what, that sounds great. So cut that bitch up, and then boom, there you go, got a graphics card support. Nice part about a milk crate is you never need to add anything. You just zip tie it on or just cut a hole in the side, and boom, there you're off to the races. Got an old drive I pulled out of an old laptop of ours. Couple years back, had it around, and so I said, what the hell, why not? But it's made my life a living hell. I'd really like to put an SSD in there. I just can't bring myself to spend the money. It's got an old fractal SSD caddy in there from my old R5. I need to get that to my buddy, but he ain't asking, so I ain't worrying. Got the Hyper 212 in here on the CPU. The CPU is an 8120. I've got overclocked. I've been using that to mine either Magi or Monero, depending on how I'm feeling, whatever looks good. And so this thing, I picked it up for 40 bucks on eBay. It's already paid for itself. I don't pay for power, or rather, I don't get charged per kilowatt hour. And so mining with CPU, definitely an option. I've just got 4 gigs of G-Skill RAM in there. That was again from an older computer. I've got a fan sitting in there right now on the VRMs. They were getting a little warm for my likes, and so I said, you know what, we'll just slap a fan on there, why not? I've currently got two 290s in here, mining away. Before that, it was these two 290s and then two 980 Ti's. I sold those though. And before that, it was actually 4 RX 480s. But with the price jumps this summer, I actually sold those for nearly double what I paid for them. Of course, we've just got some riser cards in here. Those are real nice. And then we've got my old Silverstone. We've got my old Seasonic 1250 watt power supply in there, gold rated unit. Thing has been nothing but rock solid. I have nothing but kind words for it. So with that in mind, this has been a real. The motherboard. Motherboard is a Gigabyte 990 FXA UD3R5, and this board is kind of unconventional to go AM3 for a mining rig, but at the time you couldn't get a cheap B or H series motherboard with enough lanes or enough slots and enough PCI slots, and so that the value of the Pentium was kind of diminished there by having to pay $170 for a motherboard. And originally I did not have this 8120 in there. I had a little $10 Phenom in there, a Phenom X2 B45 or 545 if I remember right. It was actually kind of cool. Got to play with that. Can unlock to a quad core, so 2 free cores. I mean, a $10 quad core chip, kind of hard to go wrong. And then before the Hyper 212 in here, I actually just had a stock AM2, I believe, heatsink that I just went down to my local computer repair shop and I said, hey, you guys have any older coolers for like an AM2 socket? He said, yeah, I've got a ton. And I said, cool, how much do you want for one? He said, just take it, man. So that was real cool of him. But other than that, I don't think there's anything too crazy here. So we're going to get into the rest of the video. Okay, so I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the mining rig. I know I already did the walking and talking tour, but we'll go a little bit more in depth into the parts that I have, what I had, and why I chose them. So I wanted to start with, this is not the first version of this mining rig. It's actually fucking trucks. But no, this isn't actually the first version of this mining rig. Actually, far from it. When I first started, I actually didn't have the CPU that's in there now. It was originally, like I mentioned before, dual core Phenom. And the reason that I went with that, and the reason that I went with AM3, was simply because I was able to get a motherboard and a CPU for this system that would work just fine and support up to 6 graphics cards off of the lanes. It has 6 usable slots for risers and cards for around $110, because the CPU used was only about $10, and the motherboard I got it for about $100 at the time.
Not sure you can still buy the board. I'm not sure they're even still making it with the new Ryzen stuff being out. But at the time, it was a really good value, especially considering that just a motherboard alone for Intel at the time, if I had wanted to go with like a Celeron or a Pentium instead, would have run me $170 because none of the Bitcoin Pros from ASRock or BioStar, whoever makes those, were in stock. None of the cheap Anniversary Edition H110s or the B110s were in stock, and so really, this was a really great value, and I really wanted to minimize the costs for anything else that wasn't graphics cards in the system. Also, when we first built this, it did not have two 290s in it as it did. And we've actually gone through a couple of revisions on what cards are in there. So to start with, we had 4 RX 480s, and I managed to pick up Sapphire versions of those, so they got the nice Dual X cooler on there. Managed to pick those up for about 165 each, which is crazy to think about the prices these days. But I got into this back when Ethereum was, or I built this rig when Ethereum was still $12 an ETH, I think, maybe lower. And I'd been mining Ethereum since it was like $4 or $5. And so, that was a really great system. We're making pretty good amounts of money. Wasn't putting out too much heat into this dorm room. But I actually sold those this past summer with the price hike and the interest in mining. Once that all went through the roof, I was actually able to sell those cards for, considering that I bought them for about, what was it, $750, we'll call it, right? I was able to sell them for over $1,300, so I was happy about that. I was content with that, and so, you know, I regret nothing. And up until recently, it's been mining with 2 290s and 2 980 Ti's, my old 980 Ti's that I replaced with my 1080 Ti. But I actually just sold those 980 Ti's as well, and so now it's just got 2 290s. There was a brief stint over the summer where it had 2 290s, as well as a Fury X in there, as well as a 7970 in there. Just what I had laying around. I said, oh, fuck it, we'll throw it in the mining rig. And yeah, everything was going fine, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that the power supply I have in this is fantastic. I've got a Seasonic 1250 watt power supply in there. I've had this for 2 or 3 years now. I've never had any problems with it. It's got an amazing 7-year warranty. It's got amazing performance, super low ripple. You don't have to listen to me. You can go and look. All of the reviews for this unit are stellar. I've never had any problems with it. Has been great. That said, this is not the first power supply I've had in the mining rig. When I first started, I had a Thermaltake, I believe, Thermaltake power supply, and it's just a 1,000 watt unit. It should have been fine for the 480s. When I got it, either when I got it or shortly thereafter, one of the rails died in it, so only half of the PCIe plugs for the power unit were working. So I called up Newegg. I was like, hey, what can we do about this? And they managed to, or they were kind enough to refund the unit, sent it back in, everything was fine there, and they gave me store credit. So I actually put that store credit towards another Seasonic power supply for my desktop, moved the 1250 out of my desktop into the mining rig where it has stayed, and my desktop is comfortably running another lower wattage Seasonic unit. Other than that, there's really not too much to talk about. The case, the frame that everything is in is just a milk crate. It's just what was laying around, and I kind of wanted to go back, kick it old school. Some of the old Litecoin mining rigs, back when that was still a thing. A lot of guys would build those in milk crates, and I always thought that was super cool. Plus, we had one laying around. It was longer than usual. It's one of the 6-gallon instead of the typical 4-gallon ones, and everything worked out just fine in that case. Same for the broomstick. It's holding it up. Got a broomstick. We just went out in the barn, we're looking for something, found the broomstick, snipped a couple holes in the side, slid it through. It's been there ever since. Never had any problems with the case. It's really nice being able to just, if you need another fan or you need to put a hard drive or something in, just zip tie something. If you need to be able to get in somewhere, you just take some snips to it, cut a hole, and then boom, problem solved. So it's been really flexible. This mining rig, as it stands right now, between the 8120 overclocked and then the 2 290s, it's drawing about 1,000 watts from the wall. I mentioned briefly in the introductory part of this, the walking and talking tour, that I don't pay per kilowatt hour for power. So I live in a dorm right now. I'm a university student. With that in mind, I pay a flat fee, all utilities included, including laundry, which is kind of nice, at the beginning for my on-campus housing. And so I can use 100 watts a day, 100 watts worth of, and then run that through, or I can use 1,000 watts 24/7, and they don't care. I don't get charged any extra for it. So yeah, of course I'm going to keep this thing going as fast as it can. Now, I've never really overvolted the cards. I've never gone balls to the wall overclocking, because that's a great way to end your card's life in a very quick way that will not end up being more profitable. So as it stands right now, the 2290s are running at an 1100 clock speed, and then they're running as fast as they can. One has the nice Hynix memory, so it's running at I think 1480, 1500 on the memory. The other one has Elpidia, so as fast as it'll go is 1330, which is a bummer, but you know, it works. And then both of those are running at a 1100 on the core. I just took the power slider, moved that up to was it 25, 50% maximum, and then other than that, no, haven't touched the voltage. So they're both running stock, just with a little bit more to the power, and then a little bit quicker on the cores, and as fast as I can on the memory. And we're getting pretty good performance, getting about 31 mega hash on each card, mining music coin, and then the CPU is mining currently now Monero or XMG. I've also played with some others, Nexus, some other CPU coins, but really Monero tends to be the most profitable. Magi tends to be the easiest to mine. What I mean by that is I have to wait like 2 or 3 months to get any kind of payouts from Monero, which I don't like. I like being able to move my money or get my money as quick as I can. But now some of that's due to the minimum payouts from pools. I guess I could always solo mine with 2 CPUs, but that doesn't really make much sense. Magi, since it's a less difficulty, it's worth less. You get more of the coins, right? Like Magi's worth 25 cents and Monero's worth almost 100 right now. You get that money a lot quicker. Beyond that, I really like the Magi philosophy. I really like the coin. I really like the project, and I'll probably do a separate video on that because I think personally it's one of the most interesting and one of the best crypto projects out there today. Other than that, there's really not too much to this. I've got the Hyper 212 on there now. It originally started out with that free cooler from the computer repair shop. I've been playing around with it. It runs rock stable. It's got room for expansion. We can put some more cards in, move other cards, and overall mining's been a really fun experience for me. I've used hardware, new hardware. Yeah, it's been a really nice thing to do on the side, something to watch, something to be interesting. It helps me support crypto projects that I really like, because I really like cryptocurrency even beyond a means of making money, even beyond the means of, you know, like a side hustle. I really like the philosophy of crypto in general and specific programs. And so all in all, would I do it again? Hell yeah, I'd do it again. I mean, it's not cost me anything. It's certainly made me money. And even beyond that, it's been a really fun educational process. It's been really fun to mess around with some hardware I wouldn't normally. And it's been really cool to have a milk crate that essentially has as much power as a supercomputer from the early 2000s. So that's all I got on this. I just wanted to do a real quick tour, real quick go over with you guys and just kind of show off what that is. Maybe it's shown up in some other videos. So hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe. Please leave a like if you did. Yeah, that's all I've got for you today. You guys enjoy. Have a great day. Hey guys, just wanted to share that we do now actually have a channel Discord. I'll post an invite link in the description down below. Feel free to join. You'll be able to talk with me as well as other guys that are helping out the channel, as well as other guys that are watching our videos. Feel free to talk about the videos, make new suggestions, talk about hardware, show off your builds, whatever you feel like talking about. I bet we have a channel for it. So I hope to see you there. Thanks again, guys.